Basic Gel 00 prosthetic application. In this tutorial, we're going to cover the application of a Gel 00 silicone prosthetic that we cast up in a previous video. So if you're not clear on the steps leading up to this point, you can check out the previous video where we cast this Gel 00 prosthetic. Now, as the title of the video implies, this is going to be a very basic application. This is a prosthetic I made for my daughter, and I wanted to keep the application process fairly simple. I didn't want to subject her to any funky adhesives, so we kept this very short and sweet. Now, the first thing I did was I pre-painted the appliance, and one of the reasons I did that was to minimize the amount of time that she would actually have to spend in the makeup chair. And her being a 9-year-old, I didn't think she was going to have the attention span to sit still for a very long, protracted makeup application. So I used a Skin Illustrator palette, primarily the effects palette, and I went in there and painted the prosthetic the inside of her cyborg eye. And this was just an evil cyborg prosthetic that Patrick Cupp sculpted for us. And we also made up some little resin parts to look like a little laser sticking out of where her eye should be. And I glued those in place with some thickened and pigmented Platsil Gel 10. And once that cured, we were ready to begin our application. And the whole pre-painting prosthetic prep time took about 45 minutes. Now, to adhere the prosthetic to my daughter's face, I decided to go with some Platsil Gel 10 thickened to a paste using the 10-Thix thickener. And the reason I chose that approach over Telesis 7 or Telesis 5 adhesive is that the removal process for a Gel 10 prosthetic or a Gel 10 adhesive does not require any special removers. And that's important when you're working with people who want an easy cleanup later on. A Gel 10 appliance or a Gel 00 appliance adhered with Gel 10 peels off fairly easily from the face. Now, to pigment the adhesive that we're going to lay down, we're just mixing up some Gel 10 thickened to a paste, and I'm going to pigment this much like my daughter's natural skin tone, which she's got fairly fair skin. So I'm going to put some white pigment in first, and then I'm going to add some flocking to get the flesh tone that I want. And this is typically what I use anytime I'm working with a fair-skinned individual. I start with a little bit of the white silicone pigment, and then I add some flocking to add some color to that. If you start with the base Caucasian color, sometimes that's actually too dark for some fair-skinned people. So starting with the white silicone pigment allows you to make it light and then make it slightly darker using the flocking colors. Now, to get an accurate, realistic fair skin tone, I typically use a little bit of the flesh-colored flocking and a tiny pinch of the red flocking. And a little bit of that red just adds some life to it, a little bit more color, so it doesn't look too much like flat, fake skin. Now, one of the things I did to prep Raya's face here was I did apply some Vaseline to her left eyebrow. Since we're actually going to have to apply some Gel 10 over her eyebrow, I first rubbed some Vaseline over her exposed eyebrow, and that made the removal process much easier later on. You want to make sure you do that anytime you're working around the eyebrows. Now, there's more exotic ways to protect eyebrows, but that's a fairly simple way if you're working with a subject that does not want to have to use any special removers later on. And here I'm just smearing on some of that thickened Gel 10 everywhere the appliance is going to touch down. And now we've cut away the overflow on our prosthetic, and I'm ready to just gently press that into place. And one of the benefits to using Gel 10 on an appliance like this, again, since we wanted to move fast and keep the application process as simple as possible, we're able to use the additional thickened Gel 10 to blend out that edge. We can use that thickened Gel 10 to just feather out those edges. And in some cases where you have an appliance that might lift up in one area or buckle or have any areas that might not be sitting down perfectly flush with the surrounding skin, you can use some of that extra thickened Gel 10 to blend out that edge and feather that out into the surrounding skin. Now you have to move fast because Gel 10 has a 5-minute working time and a 30-minute cure time, and that's at room temperature. If you're working over a subject's face like my daughter's here, that's going to speed up that set time and cause the Gel 10 to cure a little bit faster because of the warmth of their skin. So typically you're ready to move ahead with the next step and do your blending makeup usually about 10 to 15 minutes after you've applied the appliance. Now, what I'm doing here is just some quick blending with a Skin Illustrator starter palette. This is just one of the basic starter sets for Skin Illustrator. It comes with just some basic blending colors. And what I'm doing is just flicking on some of the red, as you can see from the color of my fingertip there. And I'm just flicking on some little red and then some light brown freckles all over to help that blend in with the surrounding skin. And again, in the interest of time and the interest of Raya's attention span, we're just going to do a couple of blending colors and powder it and call it done. So here you have the powder to knock down some of the shine on the silicone prosthetic. And now Raya is ready for some evil cyborg action. And again, this is the basic prosthetic application. Keep in mind that you can take this as far as you want with additional blending colors. This process took us right at about 20 minutes application time. And of course, all of the supplies used in our video today are available on our web store at brickintheyard.com.